1 coming into this contest, coming off a win against Northern Kentucky after a loss to Evansville to open up. Tim is in his 27th season, facing off against his former pupil, John Michael Hayden. Used to coach JMH back in the Avalon days. Would be one heck of a way to break open their season in the third game of the year at Lynn. Bellarmine Knights team that has their leading goal scorer back from a year ago as that one is headed out. Brendan Shamel, the captain for this team, will wear number 8. Look out for Shamel. Ogunlea clears this one away. Last year, the Knights of the ASUN Conference lost in the ASUN title game in the tournament. Lipscomb. This will be the second ASUN team that Louisville has played this season, having Jacksonville come to town for the opener in a match which they won 2-0. And Louisville coming off a win against Tulsa. That trip was a good one against the Golden Hurricane. And there were some real seriously highly contended goals for some of the best of the year already.
Yeah, and they're confidence builders too. Joey, you look at the stats from that game and the game state when you review everything. Louisville probably, by expected goals anyway, fortunate to come out winners, but they took 2 unbelievable chances and got a huge win on the road. For a team that is trying to find the right pieces in certain spots in this lineup around the mainstays, winning like that on the road against a very good Tulsa team early in this season is a huge confidence builder for the Cards.
And an opportunity just to get these freshman reps. Here's Rode trying to weave his way through. Davies got the better end of him there.
It's okay to call them bangers, by the way. They were 2 bangers.
They were bangers. The way I was starting to say it I wasn't allowing myself to say bangers.
Sonder Rode is capable of those just about any time he's got the ball at his feet. But Bellarmine, again, they're going to set up in this 4-4-2 looking shape. They want to make things difficult for Louisville.
Good look for Rode, off the crossbar down. That was off the right foot. That ball took the path it took to curl like that. Really impressive stuff from the Swede.
Really cheeky there from Sonder Rode to try to get it on the outside of his foot and bend it into that far corner. Another inch or so, that thing is in just after we said that the guy has his capabilities of bangers at any moment. If the ball is at his feet, he almost got one there.
Saw in the intro video at a hat trick against Notre Dame in the ACC tournament. He is a firework whenever he touches the ball. Here he is in the corner. Good defense there from Jack Fisher. Fisher's got a big task tonight. He's a team leader in assists a year ago. He's got 3 goals and 2 assists this year already, and he plays left back.
Yeah, that's going to be a fascinating matchup because those 2 guys are really the drink stirrers for their teams, and they're on the same side. Should be a fascinating one.
I misspoke. Only 3 goals a season ago. Bellarmine has 3 goals total this year. Disrupted nicely by Chris Schust. Belail, the winger, transfer from Limestone.
Well, it's going to be an interesting set because Louisville, playing in that back 3, really is able to get a lot of bodies forward. They're going to have to really get creative with their movement and pulling Bellarmine out of their comfort and their shell defensively. A 4-4-2 block is really hard to break down if your opponent is disciplined. So Louisville will have its work cut out for them, and they're going to need more moments of brilliance like the one we just saw from Sonder Road to break open this Bellarmine team. And then look, for Bellarmine, they've got to find a way to get some goals in open play.
Lewis trying to look for Road inside. Good defense from Bellarmine.
All 3 goals so far, a penalty, a corner, and a free kick for the Knights. So they've got to find ways to start generating more opportunities in open play and taking them. Ironically for them, they probably would feel hard by the Evansville result in the opener, and then we're somewhat fortunate to beat Northern Kentucky, although NKU went down a man, and that obviously get the 2 late goals for Bellarmine. But I think the Knights once again are expecting to be a formidable team, and these games are always chippy and well played.
There's always a little something extra.
Of course.
On these.
Especially for the Louisville kids on both teams and the local kids.
There's quite a few.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good region for soccer.
Tim Chastain knows exactly where to look. Louisville leads the all-time series. 8-5-2, the record against Bellarmine across Division II days for Bellarmine. But since the Knights have been Division I, Louisville leads the series 3-0. Good look inside for Road. Shot by Jordan. Deflected away by Peter Van Ewen. Transfer from Ohio State. Made some really good headway in the first matchup against Evansville. Subashan. Too tall.
Some good spells here of pressure from Louisville, and as we said, look, I mean, Bellarmine's going to be sitting in that 4-4-2 block. You've got to be able to find ways to find some space in between those defenders, pull people out of their spots, and open up new space, and that's exactly what just happened moving through the middle there with J.P. Jordan to get into that spot, open up an opportunity for a shot. And look, I'm happy with the start if I'm Louisville, because you know that they have been able to start to pull at Bellarmine in a few different ways in these early stages and maybe rattle this defense a little bit.
DeBlasis inside to his fellow freshman Jack Lewis. Lewis down in the corner. Fredall. Service into the box, and Van Ewen is there. Well, Van Ewen came over from Ohio State. Didn't play a ton. He was behind Max Trejo from a year ago. You remember the crazy finish that Ohio State and Louisville had here. Bucks got 2 goals within 5 minutes, all within the last 10 minutes of play, and escaped with a draw in Louisville. And Van Ewen, 4-time All-Academic in the Big Ten, decided to take his graduate year here at Bellarmine. Schuss was trying to find Colin Folds in the midfield, and a foul on Louisville.
And this is where Bellarmine can be dangerous. They've got a couple of guys who are dangerous in the air, but it's going to be tough from these distances, but it's an opportunity for the Knights to pin Louisville a little bit. The key here is if you don't get to that first ball, if Louisville is able to clear it, you've got to get your defensive shape quickly.
Good service, better shot. Would have come down. Trying to find a soft spot there in the D.
It was a good idea, a quick hit on the half volley.
Jackson Marks on the shot.
Got to make the goalkeeper work in those situations, but it's also a high degree of difficulty to keep that shot down.
JP Jordan. Great forwarding pass from the transfer from SMU. Fredall can't quite catch up to it. Good to have Philip Fredall back. Player that was injured in preseason of last year. It burned his red shirt by playing against Clemson. And John Michael Hayden and Sean Teep and the rest of the staff, they said we want Philip in every single game that we can. And so last year playing, was it our best idea? Perhaps, perhaps not, but he's good. He says he's good with that decision. They talked to him about it. And now playing him this year to get a full season out of number 12 is a big deal.
Yeah, made a real mark when he first got into the program, and he's one of those guys. I mean, I could see him playing pretty much anywhere else the field. Obviously not center back at his size, but just a really good soccer player, and that helps in any position. He makes a lot of good decisions. He's always trying to find the pass that really unlocks people, and just a really different Louisville squad when he is out there on the field.
Harvey Sellers to let that one trickle into the 6. Sellers, the former JUCO All-American at Indian Hills Community College. Went 6-2-5 with a 70-plus save percentage throughout the season. From Epsom, England, and a player that each of the coaches are really excited about for a season that he might have, Stephen Lunny and Darren Yeagle. And a great name, too.
Yeah, that's true. Big fan of the name.
Nicely done by Austin Yowell to lean that one out of play. Good crowd on hand tonight at Lynn. Fans, of course, don't have to travel too far either.
Yeah, these Bellarmine Louisville games in any sport always seem to draw really great crowds. You've got a lot of local folks, of course. I'm sure there's a lot of like high school coaches and travel coaches in the area who come out to these games, and it's always a fun pairing because it's a rivalry, but it's not a rivalry like UK and U of L. There's really no love lost between those two schools and their fan bases, but you know, Bellarmine, I think Louisville fans always cheer for Bellarmine when they're not playing each other, and vice versa, it seems. So it's a very cordial relationship here, the only private Division I university in the state of Kentucky. So right here in Louisville, it's pretty cool to be able to play a game like this and have it be a D1 level competition.
Chris Schust took a tumble there, so Colin Elder will sub on for him. The city has really leaned into, and I know you're in it every day, but from an outsider's perspective, leaned into being a soccer city and one that has multiple great programs on the women's and men's side at the collegiate level, at the pro level, and from what I understand, the club levels have also really leaned into that experience as well with the youth.
Yeah, just really, really quality travel programs. Is Louisville may be able to pull something here? We'll talk more about it in a second.
Road to fall. The Scandinavians working hard down there in the corner. It'll be a corner kick for Louisville.
And defending there from Fisher, just sticking with Fredall there. That's a tough challenge. And you forget, you know, in addition to Sander Road, he's also got to deal with Fredall. That is a lot to deal with on that side with those two tricky guys. So well done there from Fisher. Feels like Fisher's been in this program for 1,000,000 years at Bellarmine. He is a leader for that reason.
Prospect, Kentucky's local kid. Headed out by Shamel. Back to Fred All in the back line, and J.P. Jordan, the SMU transfer. Service in for Josh Jones. Who else but Peter Van Ewen, keen to it. How about these Knights plucky in the first 15 minutes?
Yeah, and that time just held up there a little bit. It is a little windy out, which may be a factor. It looks like it's coming across the field from the train tracks towards us. So that maybe played a factor in carrying that cross a little bit. Even Josh Jones had a hard time redirecting it. But look, you know, Bellarmine's going to be in this as we're talking about the travel setup here. We've got the Louisville City and Racing Louisville Academies on the boys and girls side through high school. You've got some really good club level teams here in the area as well with Mockingbird, Javanon. I mean, there's a long list of club teams over the years that have produced a ton of talent that, this is a place that loves its soccer. But more importantly, I think, you know, and I get the vibe that you're the Joey. Do you just always want to be like playing ping pong or like trying to see who can throw the ball into the trash can the most? Like just competing at all times, right? I'm the same way. Louisville is like that. This place just loves competing in anything, and they love sports. And so any more opportunities to throw a ball out there and see what kind of competition there can be, people here are going to flock to, and it's proven that soccer in the summertime has been a really big hit in the city, and it just keeps growing.
Yeah, well said. I should have just started filming my trick shots from a young age, and Dude Perfect wouldn't be a thing.
Just the amount of fistfights and swearing that my brother and I had, and my parents discovering that elementary school age Jeff knew words that he shouldn't.
How much older is your brother?
4 years.
Okay.
So he
enough.
beat the crap out of me a lot, and we got in a lot of fights, but it also, as I'm sure you can appreciate, made me a lot tougher competing against other kids because I was used to this guy 4 years older than me just beating me up all the time.
Make you harder to break.
Yeah. Something like that.
Jones to DeBlassis. Now, DeBlassis is interesting because another freshman contributed in his first ever match with an assist, a beautiful one at that, because I think it had traveled 40 yards to Josh Jones, who was just outside the 18. It was a really beautiful play against Jacksonville. And I think DeBlassis' future is bright here for the Cards.
Absolutely. One of the youngsters who's been very impressive for this Louisville team for 2 games.
There's a small but mighty drum line in the boiling point over there.
Love the vibes on Labor Day.
Good look. Better stop of the ball there. And a shot attempt there from Guerra on the left foot. Good hit. How about the play by Colin Folds to drop this one?
That was incredible there. A little hook slide almost just to hold on to it. Just enough to put off Sonda Road. I mean, that was true last-ditch defending, but to keep your head, too, and hold on to the ball longer than just poking it away was really a difference maker there for Bellarmine.
Road, service into the box. Headed out nicely by Bellarmine. Jordan keeps that one alive. Colin Folds after making that stop in the 18. J.P. Jordan gives him some just desserts on the other end. Leon Kondich warming up for Louisville. You know, these early games, so much pressure to put on yourself if you want it to be, but Louisville, I don't think, has done that. Last year, maybe a little bit different. They were unranked and then defeated Tulsa, a ranked team, to open the year. This year, they play Jacksonville at home. They get Tulsa away. Who knows what Tulsa might be, what the Golden Hurricane might have. Coach McIntosh out there. But you look at the way that a team like Louisville plays in the first few games to try to get a better read, because they do have a whale waiting at the end of the week with Notre Dame coming to town.
Yeah, it's like which whale? I mean, it's just like this murderer's row of games that they've got coming up, and Kentucky and Pitt, Syracuse. I mean, you've got all these good name opponents coming up. And so you don't really have a ton of time here to sharpen the iron to get ready for those big games. But look, Louisville's got some experience with the guys on this roster. You talk about Josh Jones, Saunders Road, the guy with the ball there, Fred Hall. They've got that experience.
Fred Hall into the box. Poked away nicely by Reese Davies. Jordan inside to Subashan. Road patient to go to Fred Hall. Toward the cage. Van Ewen to punch out. Off of Schuss' head, who's back in the match. DeBlasis, Jack Lewis. To Gage Guerra. Miss hit. And Bellarmine knocks this one away. Jeffrey Cox to clear.
Yeah, heads up defending there with a couple bodies. Goal side there off of Guerra. Guerra making the right decision.
Another service too long. Baleo Camaro would catch up to this one.
I think Guerra was assuming that he had runners coming behind him there. The hard part of being the center forward is sometimes it's hard to tell, but that was the right call from him, and in the future that may be there for him.
Kamara got space, but folds once again. Knocks that one away, the junior from Berea, Ohio. Griffiths lost the ball. Saunders Road.
The counter pressing from Louisville has been really, really good after they've lost the ball. They've done a really good job of pretty quickly winning it back and avoiding Bellarmine getting in any sort of comfort zone in possession. Bellarmine has really not been a team to hold on to the ball and keep the ball through their first two games.
Lewis, good look down to Guerra. Road to hit it. A huge one at that. Saunders Road, his second of the year in as many games. Not quite as much distance because the last goal he had was from about midfield. This one had some heat, though.
Well, it was an interesting moment there because Guerra may have put Bellarmine off, because it looked like for a second that Guerra would be the one to keep the ball and play it back out to a teammate and kind of restart the look there. But Saunders Road just put his foot through it and pummeled that home. Made it look awfully easy from that distance. And again, you know, we talked about this yesterday during the women's game. If you're the goalkeeper in the first half of a game here, you're looking into the sun. You've got a bunch of bodies in front of you for Van Ewen, who's done well so far, but that's a really hard shot to even make a play on with how hard Saunders Road hit it. The angle he hit it, body in front of him in the sunshine, just all adding up to a big first goal for Louisville.
Yeah, really nicely done. In 23rd minute, Saunders Road breaks the scoring. Louisville ahead by 1 against the crosstown rival Bellarmine.
Bellarmine has not led or started out with a lead in either of its first 3 games now, trailing in each of them.
Throw in here. Nicely done to keep that one alive. Fisher, a miss hit to try to get that into an entry. And Bellarmine making a complete line change here, Jeff. Bunch of new faces out on the pitch.
Yeah, just look, you could do that with this roster. They've got so many guys, so many options. 5 subs coming on is just, again, some fresh legs. You can maybe spark something different. These guys have had the advantage of watching a little bit. And, you know, the hardest part when you're playing in a back three, if you're Louisville, is if your wingbacks are stretched against a 4-4-2, those wide players can get in behind and really make it tough on the outside center backs to get out and be stretched a little bit. So we'll see if Bellarmine at any point can maybe spring something on the counter and put Louisville in an awkward spot and make those back three have to work well together. It's a tall order with the way Louisville's counter-pressing right now.
Tate McCreary, Colin Elder, both in there. Calais Schoberg, also in there as well. Redshirt sophomore from Sweden. Maybe try to match his Swede Sander Road with a goal. He's a big player for Bellarmine last season. Road down to Guerra. Nicely from Fredall to Subashan. Tries to just flip that ball in past Van Ewen.
In that moment, maybe I want Subashan, and look, he's running at a real estate tight angle, but part of me wants him to just blast that with his right foot near post and see if he can maybe force the goalkeeper to just parry it into somebody else's direction, or maybe even overpower him instead of trying the little outside of the foot flick there.
Two subs for the Cards, Leon Kondic, and the debut in a Cardinal uniform for Ola Arntzen. Transfer from Evansville, so he's got some experience playing against the Knights in former years. 27 matches in 2 seasons for the Purple Aces.
Louisville loves its Norwegians, don't they?
They sure do. And why not? They tend to be pretty good at soccer.
Yeah.
JP Jordan and Ethan Subashan off, so again, another great opportunity for minutes, especially in the first half where it's still critical for guys that are still getting used to the system. And Tim Chastanet shared with us that his son, who plays for Belmont, when they had an exhibition against Louisville, he came and watched here at Lynn. Good look, too tall, over top the cage. And he said this is a team that he's like, I can't quite figure them out yet. And the reaction to that was like, well, at this point, can anyone figure out who they are? You're only just figuring out who's maybe scored goals and who's got the proclivity to do that. And then on top of that, you also have to figure out who's got the best condition and win. And this time of year, it's too tough to tell.
In Louisville, too, we're talking about a team playing with 2 primary new central midfielders, 2 new center backs, and a back 3. It's a lot of newness for this team, and you got to learn as you go here. They're going to get tested. We just saw it on set pieces especially. They're going to get tested by this Bellarmine team.
Ditch inside and popped up. Was looking for Sander Road inside the box.
There's been a lot of joy down those flanks for Louisville. Getting really, that's the alternative of the back 3. You get wing backs who can overload on either side with your attacking players and really cause a lot of problems for the defense, and that's what's really been the mark of this game so far for Louisville.
Road, punched out by Van Ewen. Another header. This is wide. Jones. That is the first time I've seen it off the head where it just poofed right off the hair. That was, I mean, he's really good at them. That was probably the least powerful one I've seen. It was still nearly accurate.
Yeah, I just couldn't quite get the power on it. It's a tough ball to deal with for Bellarmine. It was the right ball, and he's trying to, at least the way he moved his head there, he's trying to nod that into the post, near post where he is, and just head it down right in front of him, and just didn't time the flick correctly, and that's, as a result, got a little bit of a awkward landing on it.
This back line, by the way, with DeBlasis at 6'3", Jones at 6'6", and Ogunleye at 6'4". Some towers back there.
Yeah, they're big guys. They are big guys, and they're going to be asked to do a lot of work here against this Bellarmine attacking set piece routine, because Bellarmine, again, they scored two. One off a corner, one off a free kick against Northern Kentucky, and they've had two so far tonight where they got to the first ball, and that's something that Louisville really has to try to avoid in those situations. You don't want to concede in those moments against a team and give them some confidence defending.
DeBlasis once again. Lewis keeps that alive over to Arntzen and to Bilal Kamara. 3 new faces for the Cardinals. Arntzen, his first action. 1-0 so far with just under 15 minutes to go in the first half. Great forwarding pass, trying to catch up to that ball is Colin Elder. Josh Jones, his pocket. Lewis to Ogunleye. Great forwarding ball to Fred All on the wide wing. The one more to Road. Road wants to, elects to try to forward inside the box to Kondich. Harshaw.
This game is opening up a little bit here, this last minute or two. I think that benefits Louisville, though. You've got super athletic, rangy defenders who can help you out if it's open at all, and now Louisville happy to get back into control of it. They've had, for sure, the Lions' share of chances so far in this one. 8-2 in shots, Joey. 4-0 in terms of shots on goal.
Garrow was credited with that assist to Sonder Road. Officials today, J.C. Griggs, our head man, Brian Mean, assistant referee, Joshua Metcalf, a second, and our fourth official, Caleb Riley. TJ Kahoali getting set to go. Elder, it's out of play. And Kahoali will pop in for Philip Fredall. Take quality minutes from Philip Fredall. Might see him in the second half.
You would expect so. You're going to keep working on those connections, not with him and Sonder Road and Gage Guerra, but the guys around them as they try to fine-tune things.
Maybe a sit there from Arntzen, trying to get it down to Kaho'ali. Bellarmine will host UNC Asheville on Saturday. Louisville hosting Notre Dame on Friday. Oh, tough contact there from Jones with Elder. And Elder he shot right back up.
Yeah, it felt like one of those bang-bang moments that somehow everybody's just fine.
Elder's holding the old side, though. I think he popped up, then he was like, and then he realized I maybe shouldn't have got up so fast.
Bellarmine just not really able to string together passes and start to connect people in a way that can move the game into their attacking half. And they're comfortable without the ball. I mean, they 38% possession against Evansville, 44.5% possession against Northern Kentucky. So they're not a team that wants to necessarily be on the ball and cause lots of problems through their possession, sustained possession, but they do need to be able to start connecting some dots here and start moving Louisville a little bit around.
DeBlasis catches up to that ball inside the Road. Road, nifty move and just misfires. You'd like to have that one back.
Yeah, he was trying to do the outside of the foot thing again and so perfectly the first time. Don't blame him for trying to do it again. I'd love to see him try to open up with the left foot there.
Colin Folds, Austin Yowell, and Reese Davies are out. Norris Sumner, Sawyer Troll, and James Gardev are on the pitch for the Knights. Braden Griffin subbed in just a little bit ago as well. Some extra energy and legs for Bellarmine. Road inside, looking for Guerra. Jeffrey Cox to interrupt that interaction. Kaho'ali down in the short corner, crossing nearly a header for Gage Guerra or Leon Gondich. They're both kind of in the same area there. Arntzen lofting. Kaho'ali keeps it in play. Off to Sonder Road and deflected by the Knights. How about the heads-up play, literally there, from the freshman to keep that alive?
Yeah, really nice work there to keep that in play. And a little concerning how slow Bellarmine was to react. They had 3 defenders in the area, and I know they were able to block it away, but how was Sonder Road able to get to that second ball? You've got to be pouncing on that if a Louisville player gets to the first one.
Seven and a half remains in the first half here at Lynn Stadium. Jeff Greer, Joey Lynch, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Bellarmine and Louisville. Cards got on the board, 22 minutes in. The Sonder Road rip from nearly the top of the 18. Lewis. A good effort to try to get that to Kondic. Those two had filmed their Two Truths and a Lie together. They seem to be pretty tight. Said they're everybody's favorite Europeans, which I think all the Europeans would say as well.
Yeah. I'd love to see the ballots on those votes.
It's fun what the social teams have been able to do as well. It's a good tackle there from Adric Rosado. Kamara. There's DeBlasis. He's got some range if he wants it. Lewis. And he was upended there by Harshaw. Nicely done by the Knights on defense. Sellers has not had a very busy first half. And Peter Van Ewen no longer has to worry about the sun in his eyes and the face masks, so that's always a good thing because it's tough as a goalkeeper.
Yeah, especially with that mask, as you mentioned. That makes things even more difficult to see. But, yeah, the shadows creeping in are probably welcome for not only him but his back line as well.
Last week it was pretty toasty. Last home game, rather, for the Cards was very warm, and last week in general was very warm in the Midwest, and it has suddenly felt like fall the minute it turned September.
I am not complaining.
I'm not complaining either.
Magnificent weather today.
You even brought your little Is that?
Yes, sir.
Is it PSL season?
No, it is not a
pumpkin
PSL.
spice latte. You said latte, which made me think maybe Jeff's gone basic on me.
No PSLs for old Jeff.
It's okay if you like them.
It is okay if anyone likes it. I do not.
Yes.
However, I'm not a fan.
As always, the train making its presence felt, rooting on the Cards. I always wonder if it's one of the same conductors that just goes back and forth. And he knows when Cards games are going. Oh, boys, I'm in Charleston, West Virginia. hit the rail lines.
They might be listening to the game on their their ESPN Plus app.
Lovely.
Down when it's safe.
I know nothing about directing and conducting a train, but do you really have to steer that much? I guess you got to know when the interlocking rails will go, and you got to determine. Well, that's all set for you.
I don't know. Well, let's do some research at halftime.
Don't conduct and watch ESPN Plus unless it's
safe
okay
to do
and
so,
safe to do so.
Speaking of conducting, Bellarmine really is going to go into this halftime period thinking, you know what, we've defended okay. We've had some good saves from your goalkeeper, but really the bigger part of this is how are they going to be able to move Louisville defensively and make them work? Even if it's winning a set piece, winning free kicks around the area, winning corners, just to give them opportunities. They just really have only had a couple of those, and they've been fleeting at best. So they've got to find a way to take the game a little bit more to Louisville, because Louisville looks very comfortable through these first 45 minutes.
Two minutes to go in the half. Bellarmine knocked in the first goal at mark 22. Kahoa Lee to Lewis. Disrupted by Harshaw. This Knights team would love to replicate the effort of getting to the ASUN title game just like they had a season ago. Cardinals trying to make it back to the ACC title game as well. Cottage, nice shot. Saved by Van Ewen. Freshman from Slovenia. Kondic was one that markedly impressed John Michael Hayden and the rest of the staff during camp as a player that he and Lewis, so your favorite Europeans, as players that needed to be into the mix in the first couple weeks of match play. And we'll see if, I'm sure that's not going to be subject to change anytime soon against a team like Notre Dame when they come to town. Oh, chance here maybe for Bellarmine. Harvey Sellers ready for it.
It's the first time he's really been able to pin Louisville deep and force a turnover there. Granted, Josh Jones had to go sliding in to salvage it, but yeah, I mean, to that point, I mean, we're talking about a period in the season that it's just so crucial to get guys minutes and get them comfortable out there, get them comfortable playing with each other. Look, it's one thing to do it in training, but to be doing it against another team where you're not quite as familiar with each other, it's really important this part of the year because it pays off in October and November.
Louisville leads 1-0. Welcome back for the second half here at Lynn Stadium between Louisville and Bellarmine. Chase Vasquez has checked into the lineup to start the second half. In for Gage Guerra at center forward. Alongside Jeff Greer, Joey Lindstrom with you. Jeff, adjustments you think that both coaches were eyeing in the halftime locker room?
Well, look, I think if you're Louisville, you're probably pretty happy with the way that your team played in the first half. Really one-way traffic. It's just about those final details in the attacking third and just getting the finishing touch on a couple more balls in the area. And if you're Bellarmine, it's at this point, it's just trying to find a way to get out on the counter. You don't want to lose your shape and open the game up too much, but you also have to find ways to get out in behind those wing backs, stretch out the back three, maybe win a foul around the area and get a free kick, whatever that looks like. But the Knights just have to find a way to get more into this game than just defending for the final 45 minutes. But the good news for them is it's only 1-0. We saw this with Louisville, Joey, against Jacksonville. It was hard for them to really separate, even though it was what ended up being a comfortable win. It never was fully out of reach until they got that second goal. What was that? At the end of the first half. And
yeah,
it just kind of never felt like they had their foot on the gas pedal in the second in the way that they could have really buried that game.
Well, certainly a welcome sign for Bellarmine that they've scored in the second half each of their last two games to start the season. Louisville held off Tulsa after the Golden Hurricane had a banger of a goal themselves.
Yeah, 3 unbelievable goals in that game. Such a good win for Louisville to build the confidence early in the year, and it's your 2 of your 3 big-name guys coming through with goals, and I know Jones scored in the first one.
Arnson gets a little bit of contact there with Ethan Jacobs. It'll set up a free kick for Louisville.
Tough area, too. He almost is in the box. But now this is a great opportunity. It's a better angle. You almost prefer when you're the free kick taker for your team, you almost prefer to be at an angle here. This is maybe tighter than Sonder Road would like, but if there's anybody who can bend it up and over a wall from this angle, it's Sonder. I imagine he'll have a pop here if he thinks he can get something near post, but it helps to have Josh Jones in the area too.
And we're not sure what Arntzen might have in his arsenal there. He does take a rip. Does it get through? What a save by Van Ewen. I think he had 6 or 7 screens ahead of him.
That is an outstanding save, and answering your question there of what's in the pocket of Arntzen. I mean, that was a rip low, really well struck, and just an equally good save.
Van Ewen came to Bellarmine in one way or another to prove himself. After not seeing the field too much at Ohio State, felt like he had a chance to go and start. And he's been doing that because of saves like that. As that ball with the service in gets headed back out. Arntzen far too long. Bellarmine ball.
Yeah, he's not the biggest goalkeeper. I think he's listed at, 5'11", 5'10".
Yes, yep.
But he's done a really good job tonight so far of commanding his area and being the first one to the higher balls that, for a smaller goalkeeper are harder to get to and command. But again, that reflex there has been really important because that was a late, as you said, Joey, a very late look that he had at it, and he's able to get down for it.
Arntzen just scratching and clawing to keep this ball alive. And it works.
Yeah, and a late tumble in there. I don't think Ethan Jacobs meant anything malicious about that. He just kind of got his feet tangled up under Arntzen there, but a good scrap from him, Arntzen, and he's been impressive since coming on in this one.
Great touch from DeBlasis. Vasquez trying to catch up to it. Off to Road. Into the 18 goes Louisville. A chivalry of knights inside the box. To Vasquez. Back out. Kahoali. Working in tandem there with Jack Lewis and Sonder Road. TJ inside to Jack Lewis again.
Good job defending there on that far left side from Bellarmine. Louisville had some of its best guys in the vicinity there trying to work something out, and Bellarmine just stayed scrappy and made it annoying.
Baleo Kamara gets some trouble from Troll. Oh, nice job by Kamara to keep the ball alive. Talented footwork from the D2 All-American. I have a feeling he's going to make his presence felt this year in the ACC.
Yeah, and really nice footwork, as you mentioned, and this is really good from Louisville. This is patient. This is a team that in years past has been very direct and at times impatient. And they're instead making Bellarmine move and try to keep its shape, which is hard to do with this much talent in white.
Arntzen, down to Kondic. Lofting, Van Ewen there, briefly, Vasquez misses the cage. Wide of the net goes Chase Vasquez.
We know that Vasquez is so quick in tight spaces. His presence there just putting off everybody for Bellarmine there in that moment. Van Ewen in particular, but not able to get to that second ball and just poke it in. And you could see, you can always tell, Joey, one of the things I tell anyone who doesn't watch a ton of soccer, if they're trying to figure out like how serious of an opportunity was that, it's the reaction that tells you everything.
This is a great run from Nick Harshaw, the freshman. Sellers catches up to it. Enough of a touch there from Ogunleye to affect the path of that ball and get Harshaw off track. But Harshaw is one of the top freshmen on this Bellarmine team that has really shown out early in the season, according to Tim Chastanet.
Yeah, great job there from Ogunleye, and that's where the length helps.
Jones wins that quick battle with Harshaw. Small size and age difference there in that particular sequence. Nothing against Harshaw, that great hustle. Just Josh Jones is a tough guy to go toe-to-toe with there in a sequence like that. Ooh, tough contact with Kondich and Ethan Jacobs. Stays with the Cards.
A little more physical here in the second half as Bellarmine is going to try to go for it a little bit more. Louisville trying to put this game out of reach. Nice job there from the freshman Harshaw. He's been a little bit of a spark in the first 10 minutes of the second half.
Yowell, long ball. Kept alive in the box by Fisher. And Davies, rather, not Fisher. And that's reportedly out on Bellarmine, but I thought maybe that might have fallen off the back of a Louisville defender.
Yeah, I could not track that, so it seemed like Bellarmine pretty frustrated by that call, though. And again, for the Knights, they've been better here in the first 10 minutes of the second half, but a big part of what they're going to try to do in pretty much any game is get those corners, get those free kicks. So if there's a missed call on a corner, and I'm not saying it was missed, but if it was missed, that's an opportunity that Bellarmine would like to have if they can get.
This match is well within reach for the Knights. 3 goals to their credit in 2 games this season. Cardinals ranked 15 in the most recent AP poll, subject to change, of course. There's been quite a few upsets, both men's and women's, but markedly one that comes to mind, St. Louis beating IU just last week. You never know what you're going to get in college soccer. A team that, I'll use the term you use because I think it's accurate, but a mid-major, if you will, like a Bellarmine out of the A-Sun. They know that this is a big game, but Tim Chastanet shares with us that this isn't our Super Bowl. We don't. If we were to come on top, this would be amazing. This would be awesome. But our goal, especially with being D1 now for 3 years, we want to win conference and prove that we not only belong, but that we're not just that if we win, it's not just a fluke.
Yeah, and look, once you've been up at this level and you're eligible to go to the NCAA tournament, the conference tournaments and stuff, I mean, that's really what the feathers in your cap are going to be. That's what you really want to make your primary objective. Beating a high-level D1 team in a power conference, yeah, that's great. But if you're Bellarmine and anybody, Jacksonville too coming in here earlier this year, that's what you're really measuring yourself on, is your ability to win the league and get into the postseason.
Too hot out the foot of Arnson.
Louisville has not been as formidable winning the ball back and in possession here in the early stages of the second half.
On a play off the head of Ogunleye. Yeah, it feels like you made the point that they've been a little bit more, decisive and patient with the ball. I wonder if sometimes to a fault later on, if you get too impatient, not speaking just about Louisville, just generally, but if you get too patient and wait for the right shot, that could prevent you from taking just the shots that you might be taking in practice or something, because you're trying to get game-like scenarios or what have you.
Yeah, well, it's a tough balance to find, and they did well in the first half of knowing when to pull the trigger and when not to. But they've got to make sure that they keep their foot on the gas pedal here. You really want to put Bellarmine out of distance if you can early in this one, because of the way the Knights are starting the second half. It looks like they've got a little bit more confidence getting forward.
Player down for the Knights. Notre Dame coming to town on Friday. You mentioned the gauntlet that Louisville has yet to go through. They head to Kentucky the following Monday, so a week from today. They end that week with a road trip to Pitt. And come back after a week. They'll play Syracuse here at Lynn on ACC Network Extra. Jeff and I will be back with you for that one, but Jeff is going to miss Friday, which we are also sad about. Because you got to fly. You have other professional duties.
Yes. I will be with Racing Louisville out in the Bay Area for a big NWSL game against Bay FC. So I am sorry to miss it, but no, I'm intrigued. It's so funny you're listing off these opponents for Louisville, and you look at their schedule, and it's hard not to. You almost have to laugh at just how comically difficult it is. You toss out Kentucky, you toss out Syracuse, you toss out Pitt. Obviously, Notre Dame's going to always be tough. Kentucky's number 23. Pitt is number 3. Syracuse is number 7. Notre Dame receiving votes. We know the success they've had in recent years, especially last year. I mean, good Lord, that is just a gauntlet of games for the Cards right off the bat here after getting their feet wet through the first couple matches.
The Blastus stops that ball in its tracks. Road back to Jack Lewis. To Kondic. Working that middle of the field is Sonder Road. Kondic, once again, the freshman, the Slovenian. Harshaw clears. Nicely done once again by Bellarmine. Chased down by Colin Elder. Played back in the middle. These two forwards are adding a little bit of spark for the Knights. They get up quickly, too. Harshaw is fast.
He is fast. Ogunlea has had some work to do, but he's handled it really well so far. I'll give him credit. He's used that long stride and the ability to stretch a couple of times now to really just kind of put off the forwards who, I mean, it's probably going to be common this year, but they all look very small compared to him. Just because he's 6'4", 6'5", and moves the way he does.
Kamara working hard, just trying to get past Ethan Jacobs and Harshaw. And depending on how Lipscomb is this year, that'll be Bellarmine's only rank. This will be Bellarmine's only ranked opponent as of now. Working around, Vasquez, good hit. Save Van Ewen. He's been really impressive today, especially in the second half.
Yeah, and I want to see if I get a look at that in a moment, but I'd love to see the angle that he had there. There's a little bit of traffic, but he's done very well when he can't quite catch the shot or put it out of play. He's done well to at least steer it away from dangerous areas. He had the one where it was just kind of an awkward moment with Vasquez, but outside of that, Van Nieuwen's done a good job with his breeze. And the referee, this is a new rule in the last year or two, Joey. If the referee gets away, they are allowed to blow play dead and give the ball to the team that had possession. Glad they did it, because there have been plenty of times where referees, I know they're trying their best and working hard, but they've gotten in the way at inopportune times, for lack of a better phrase. It's one of the hardest jobs you can have, I think, really in anything. Not necessarily in terms of like physically difficult, but it's a really hard job to be a referee in any sport.
Especially in this sport, because if you're the head official, you're constantly in and around the area by the ball.
Yep, and getting yelled at a lot.
Service, and looking for Jones was DeBlasis. We might see that a few times this season. With right back to center back.
Yeah, I like that Jones likes to linger up there, and it's smart because he's such a good target and such a good timer of his headers and really good at placing them. So he just kind of stays there for Louisville, and it gives a nice target for whoever is providing service into the area.
Great forwarding ball. Kamara, that one roll off his shoulder. Lucky not to get a handball there. In for Kamara. Michael, a freshman from Toronto, Canada. His first action, what a goal! Colin Elder sends it home for the Knights, and we are level. A breakdown defensively. Let's room Bellarmine.
Well, we talked about it. I mean, these are set plays. And the game, that's really well taken. Just a quick strike instead of waiting, making any sort of touch to set yourself up or do anything that takes up too much time. A decisive decision for a quick shot. Great finish there, and off a set play. This team is so dangerous in those moments, and Louisville, again, we talked about it at the start of the second half. Louisville has kept them within arm's reach. Obviously, lots of time left, so you're not panicking if you're Louisville, but Bellarmine just needed that one opportunity to get right back in this game, and here we are, 1-1. And this is crazy, Joey. They have 4 goals this season, Bellarmine. 1 off a penalty, 1 off a free kick, 1 off a corner, and now 1 off a throw-in. All they need is an own goal from an opponent before it's starting to get a little weird that everything other than open play is how they've scored.
See if Louisville can answer. Lee out in front. DeBlasis to keep it alive. DeBlasis sends it toward the box for service again. Arnson. And headed down by Ethan Jacobs. Yeah, there's the conversation might need to be had if there's another throw-in goal or what have you, where maybe Tim Chastney's goal was to just see if we can get unorthodox ways to score.
We'll just have to ask him at some point if it's intentional. but it's working at this point.
Really impressive to be in this one. All of a sudden now for Bellarmine. And it started to feel like that. It started like, because especially with the energy that Harshaw brings, and that's one thing that Tim Chastonnet shared with us too. He's going to be the guy that can help us out. Good look out in front. Lewis scores! Jack Lewis, first collegiate goal. Not a more opportune time than that to answer the bell for the freshman from Blackpool, England.
And 2 goals in this game for Louisville, both set up by a really nice back to goal forward, just laying it off to somebody. And Lewis just kind of ran onto it there. Just a nice little tee up from Vasquez, pretty much passing it through traffic. But a great finish for Lewis. Couldn't quite get the grass to cooperate with the slide there, but a great finish and a great setup too for Louisville.
And Chase Vasquez, first assist of his career as well.
It's a really good layoff forward too to have his back turned. Sometimes forwards in those moments are just trying to do something to turn and get a shot away. But Vasquez, great heads up look there to lay it off to a guy who probably had a better look at, or definitely had a better look at it than he did, and he just passed.
64th minute score for Bellarmine and a 66th minute score to answer for Louisville right away. Vasquez to Jack Lewis. Never forget your first. Kahoa Lee also credited with the best 2 assists there. Harshaw working hard against Michael Lee. Gage Guerra back on for Kahoa Lee. Garrett thought maybe a handball was justified there. Out of play on Bellarmine. Ogunlea into Arnson. And we're off and running.
Entertaining second half. That's a dangerous challenge there.
Yeah, it is.
And DeBlasis frustrated with the whistle. So is Louisville, but was a little late. I think Fisher was more put off by the ball deflecting into his face in the moment there, but it's a late challenge from DeBlasis. And again, you talk about these moments. If you're Bellarmine, this is what they do, Joey. So if you're Louisville, you're hoping that Josh Jones and Ogunlea and DeBlasis are in a spot there where they can comfortably win this.
It'll be Austin Yowell on the set piece. Crossing in. That one's headed up. Sellers the save. Nearly a brace for Colin Elder.
I got to tell you, this ventured out here on Labor Day, and it's a great crowd, as we've mentioned. What an entertaining second half this has been.
Oh, yeah.
Bellarmine's going for it. Louisville with a super fast response to the equalizer. It's been a very entertaining game so far.
Earlier that was Colin Elder's first collegiate goal. Only an assist man to that point. Header right into the breadbasket of Harvey Sellers.
It was a free header. It's hard from that angle and that distance. It was well done to get it onto the frame there, but Harvey Sellers smart to gather and just kind of swallowed up. But Louisville, look, this is where we get into game management. You still have plenty of time if you're Bellarmine, so Louisville really needs to be smart about gauging when to go for it and when it's not on, but a third goal certainly would make things a little bit easier for the Cards, as any coach would tell you.
Y'all the header to clear. The Blassis inside to fellow freshman Jack Lewis, fresh off his first goal of his career. Michael Lee can't get that one to stay in play. Edric Rosado is back in. Along with Trouble. Garrett back to midfield for Arnson. The Blassis inside to Road. Oh, go flip attempt there for Road. Get to Guerra. Ooh, that's big contact from Agunlea. Jack Lewis telling Colin Elder, I know exactly what you're trying to do. Oh, a little extracurricular there.
There's a spicy interaction here, and again, Bellarmine is not going to be a team that goes away quietly, and Louisville, of course, on its home field, as the team that knows it should win this game, they're not going to back down by any stretch, and that is going to create some sparks as this thing gets more and more tense later in the game.
Yep, final 19 minutes.
And we know Agunlea has shown no interest in going anything less than 100% into anything that he's doing.
I think that the added spice, if you will, is Colin Elder blew a kiss to the Louisville bench after he scored that goal.
Yes, that is certainly something that is going to perturb some of the Cards.
Another throw in. Another danger on set pieces for Bellarmine. Kondich can't quite catch up to that one. Davies does instead. Davies a good run. A shot far wide for Trouble.
It was an ambitious effort there. It looked like both the dribbler Davies and then the shooter both put off by a defender in the last second there. That made it a little difficult to execute the way that they would want in that moment.
Agunlea. He is long because he's got some serious ball skill. Arnson, wow, great forwarding pass. Cut up to by Fredall. On the short corner, another corner kick for the Cards.
Excellent switch of play there into the run of Fredall. Fredall maybe waited a tad too long. I'd love to see them hit an early ball in just to see if they can force Bellarmine's defenders to make some tough decisions facing their own goal. But a corner one here for Louisville and a chance to get Agunlea and Josh Jones forward.
Road into the box. That sweeps through. Jones, a rare hit of the foot for Josh Jones, not the head. Up for Kondich, no. Saunders Road weaving through as he falls down. Covering his head because he was still in and around the ball. And Fredall will parry this one back over to Harvey Sellers. And now if you're Louisville, you answered when Bellarmine knocked in their goal to catch you off guard. But it seems like the Knights aren't going away lightly. There's Elder. Across the way to Rosado. Jones to catch up against Harshaw, just holding him off. Dangerous there for Sellers with Elder coming.
Jones and Ogunle are just so big. It's almost humorous watching them shove off challengers.
Jones, a former All-State basketball player. Harshaw is no slouch, though. That's a Kentucky Gatorade Player of the Year. And Nick Harshaw.
You can tell. I mean, he's got a nice little spark to him. He's got some flair. We saw that in the first half, dribbling in through traffic. And you would presume that he'd be someone who plays regularly for his entire career at Bellarmine.
JP Jordan and Ethan Subuchon getting ready to pop back onto the pitch here shortly for the Cards. As well as for Bellarmine, Alex Halevi, Chris Shust, and Tate McCreary. All coming on for Colin Elder, Colin Folds, and Harshaw. So good effort from those three. Especially Elder getting his goal. And now that we're inside 15.
Yeah, Elder and Harshaw, two real menaces for Bellarmine, just thorns in the side and unafraid going at Louisville's defenders and pestering them. And then Elder with a really well-taken goal there. But Louisville, again, it's exactly the response. If you're John Michael Hayden, that's exactly the response you want. Giving up an equalizer, because in years past there have been times where that equalizer causes a little bit of a panic with, dare I say, arguably more talented rosters for Louisville. Just seem to force Louisville into these frenetic stretches. And this year, I mean, that was as emphatic a response as you can get, scoring, going back ahead just a minute and a half after conceding.
Saunders Road and Jack Lewis take their leave. That's 77-plus minutes for the two of them. Good runs tonight for those two starters. This back line of Louisville has to yield the fresh legs coming on for Bellarmine. Kondich holding off defenders down to Lee. Freshman to freshman. To DeBlasis. Great entry down to Philip Fredall. Ball bounced around and finally touched on. This will be a corner for Louisville.
Yeah, that was some really good stuff, though, from Louisville. Cutting inside from Lee, the pass between the defenders into the space to run onto. Really nicely done all the way into winning the corner there. And the Cards, again, a chance really to put an exclamation point and a stamp on this game.
That'll be Ethan Subuchon. Put a left to it. He scored his first collegiate goal last year against this Bellarmine team. And J.C. Griggs is going to take another look at that last play.
I'm guessing he's looking
Probably
to
for a
see
handball.
if it was a handball, if it was what is considered an uncommon use of the arm, because it looked like the defender in question, I didn't quite see who it was in the moment, but it looked like they had their hands behind their back, so it's hard to tell if there was. You'll be looking to see if there's movement of the arm out of that position to try to disrupt the cross, and if there was, then it's going to be a penalty. But no handball. So that it looked in the bang situation, that looks like the correct call, and we didn't get the same view as the referee. But yeah, that's the right call. Referees have tried really hard to acknowledge more and more how the body moves and how difficult it can be to control your arms in certain situations if it's within natural movement.
Entry trying to find DeBlasis was Subashan. And another corner for the Cardinals.
We're told it hit the sleeve of the defender too, so that's also up in the shoulder area and even harder to be able to get out of the way.
Carl Lundstrom Svankvist, is on for Bellarmine, Ben Griffiths. And no, there's no relation. That's an I and a U. Subashan gets the second crack at it. Ola Arnson, pretty good hit. Got one that just tracks down, tries to burn some worms along the way.
I like that. That's good. That's how I describe my golf game, so there you go.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say you talk about unconventional use of the arm. A golf game definitely qualifies. Wide of the cage there for Ben Griffiths.
Well, there's still plenty of time here for Bellarmine, and they've done a really good job of, in the second half, being a little bit more disruptive and really picking up the energy. Louisville also, since conceding, has looked much, much sharper. And there they go again.
Michael Lee trying to do it himself. It back inside to Arnson. Off to Fred All. And down to Subashan. Entry. What a save by Van Ewen. And a little help from his back line. That was Reese Davies.
I think Lee was right there if that did not get through.
Kept alive by Griffiths, maybe briefly. But stays with the Cardinals. Off the out-of-play hit. Kondich. Escaping that contact there. Here's Subashan. Stolen away by Svankvist. Under 10 to play in the Derby City Showdown. The duel, if you will. Nice little back heel flip from Lee. Kondich to Agunlea. Notre Dame coming to town on Friday. Irish are 0-2. With draws against Akron and Indiana. They started out the year as number 2 in the preseason poll. And now just receiving votes. Yet still a tough opponent. Here's Lee. Too far and too long.
Well, I don't care what a team is ranked the year after they make the national title game. You're going to have to assume that they're going to be pretty darn good, because even even if they lose all 11 starters, that team's going to have a bunch of guys who are contributors to that team and around that run. So we know what they're capable of.
Another attempt goes too tall over the net. Louisville had 12 wins a season ago. Just 2 in ACC play. That was the part that plagued the Cards because they started out 6-0 on the season. Just fell into a bit of a roadblock middle of the way there, especially in ACC play and on the road, before making an epic ACC tournament run. And this year, with some new faces, a lot of guys who just don't know what they don't know. That's sometimes a better way to be because you don't have that preconceived notion. But you have leaders around like a Saunders Road, Gage Guerin, and Josh Jones who have been there. Ball rattled around. Bellarmine's beckoning for a handball.
And they're going to go take a look at it, I think.
Yes, they are.
Those throw-ins, those long throws for Bellarmine have been big. That's how they got their first goal. And again, I mean, this is a team that just clearly drills their set pieces well and their set plays in moments where they need to drum up something. They haven't really been able to do a whole lot in the run of play, but they've been able to cause problems tonight on throw-ins. It's been those, not just the one they scored on, but they've caused problems a couple of times on throw-ins.
Seven and a quarter to go in this one, so of course you're going to be looking out for a play like this. And no handball. Goal kick to restart play. I mean, nearly there. I feel like Bellarmine may have had an alibi, just not enough for J.C. Griggs. He's been quick on those replays, by the way.
Decisive. I like it.
Yeah.
Nobody has time for all the other added stuff. Just go over there, take a look at it.
I was telling you I was doing a match last night, and there was 2 replay reviews. One for a handball that became a penalty kick. The other one was also for a handball, and the iPad didn't work. So they wasted, it was like 7 or 8 minutes just to figure out that the iPad was not going to show anything at all, let alone what they wanted to. And they went back to playing soccer. How about that move by Fredall? That was pretty good. That was pretty nifty.
Yeah.
Get around the defender like that.
Yeah, he just keeps proving why he's such a valuable guy for Louisville. He's so composed on the ball.
And as soon as he makes that move, he immediately moves to the front line.
Correct.
Kondic, he is finding the right amount of power, I think. It's only a matter of time before Leon Kondic gets a banger.
Yeah, he's still young, and he's a big dude. He kind of glides as he's running with the ball at his feet, looks very confident. Got to figure these younger guys getting early minutes will come off, or will pay off at some point this season for Michael Hayden.
Good ball from Agunlia. Oh, here you go. Kondic. A little run here. Kondic in the short corner, too wide, but Subachan answers. Cards flip into a 2-goal lead off the feed from Kondic and the finish from Ethan Subachan. He had a goal against Bellarmine last year. Repeats his effort against the Knights this year.
Well, it's Kondic who gets in there, does well to stay with it. and he just scrapes it across the face of the goal. And Gage Guerra did that in the first half. There were no runners anywhere inside the 6 to tap in there, and this time just super composed from Subashan, just passing it in. And the dagger for Louisville that they wanted and needed. You could see how frustrating it was for Bellarmine to give that goal up for the players defending. But excellent effort there from Konic to stick with it, and a heads-up play by Subashan to make that run to the back post, knowing that maybe the ball would end up there.
Kondish, first assist of his collegiate career. A lot of firsts tonight. Michael Lee trying to make it 4.
I've been impressed with Lee in his minutes here tonight. He's been fun on the ball and very quick with it at his feet.
He was one that John Michael Hayden said he just needs a little bit of grooming and before he gets out on the pitch. And then he'll be able to show us what he could do. Show the good people of Louisville, and he's certainly doing that. Five minutes to go between Louisville and Bellarmine. Cards looking for 4. Subashan trying to return the efforts. Back to Con. A shot for him, but it's stymied there nicely by McCreary. Subashan. Fredall off the front of Austin Yull, the senior from Phoenix, Arizona. You see plays like that a time or two. Former Belmont transfer. He just stood there and took it.
Sometimes that's all you can do.
How about the flips in the celebration, by the way?
Yeah.
How many of these guys
too.
are ready for that at a moment's notice?
Apparently 2.
We know 2. That's for sure. I could think of a few other guys on this team that could probably be capable of that.
Give me a swimming pool and I'll try something like that.
Entry. Head and down to Peter Van Ewen, who, despite giving up 3 goals, has made some really impressive saves tonight. I think he can hang his hat on that effort. Most certainly, as they host UNC Asheville this weekend.
I mean, I don't know a ton about the A-Sun outside of Bellarmine and obviously seeing Jacksonville previously, but
Lipscomb being very good this
year.
They'll come here this year.
You have to figure Bellarmine will be a contender there, and then I've been very impressed with Louisville in the second half after the concession of that goal.
Yep.
Really just putting their foot down and saying, we are not losing this game. They got a really nice setup for the first finish, and then an excellent capstone goal there to make 3-1 and really put their stamp on this game. The final 3 minutes. Game management for Louisville has not always been a strong suit. The past couple of years, there have been some late leads that really just had to crush the spirit of a very talented team. And it usually was later in the season versus early in the year, but this is a great early opportunity to kill a game off, and they've done exactly that with some young players on the field too.
Going to be fun to see what this team can do. Last year, there was a ton of returning starters. This year kind of feels new. And a lot of guys with different skill sets, some transfers included with the newcomers. Set 2 of them right there, J.P. Jordan and Ola Arntzen. Going to be fun to see how they grow this year. The Blassis yields that one down to Gage Guerra, and somebody Ethan Jacobs caught the spikes there on the heel. Subs in again for Bellarmine. This time Jackson Marks, James Gardev, and Jackson Jones.
You know, I think for Louisville, what to me just sticks out is, I mean, you're replacing, if you're going to play a back 3 with 2 central midfielders, kind of holding midfielders, I mean, Louisville is replacing 4 of the 5 members of its spine. And then if you throw in Harvey Sellers in goal, you're talking 5 of 6 new guys in your central midfield and back spine of your team. And that is really hard to do and do it at a high level. And I've been very impressed with what they've done. Their 2 freshman center backs in the back 3 working with Josh Jones, and then you toss in Jordan and Lewis in the middle. I mean, it's been a really strong group that John Michael Hayden put together on top of Armstrong coming in. I mean, this is a nice group that they've got. And to get them minutes early and get them some opportunities to manage leads, it's been impressive.
Well, the 1-1 draw that turns into 2 more goals for Louisville in the back end of this second half. A great effort from the Bellarmine Knights. Gave Louisville a run for its money there for a hot second. Louisville comes away